Sir David, welcome to Edinburgh.
Thank you so much.
We're delighted to have you here as our guest speaker this evening here in the Royal Society of Edinburgh for an event of the Asia-Scotland Institute. Yeah. And to welcome you, I guess, in two capacities. First, as the very distinguished former ambassador of the United Kingdom to Japan, and, of course, as chairman of the Japan Society. I wonder if we could just start by your giving me a feel for the key topics that you'll be addressing this evening when you talk to the auditorium.
Well, you've kindly invited me to talk about Japan's role in the 21st century, its place in the world. So I'd like to talk a little about why, while Japan still retains a very high level of economic power, diminished a little in recent years, beginning to come back under Prime Minister Abe.
Still the third largest.
Still the third largest economy in the world, the second largest developed economy in the world. Yes. Why Japan's political profile in the world and its international profile is a little more muted. Now, there are political reasons for that. There are reasons, while one never likes to make cultural generalizations, there are cultural questions that one can talk about, which means that although in some respects Japan still has a formidable profile in industry, in business, and in soft power throughout Asia and elsewhere in the world, its international profile is a little less emphatic than you would expect from an economy of that size. And I'd also like to talk about some of the regional issues which Japan has to manage. At the moment, its relations with China and Korea, of course, are particularly difficult. But we might also talk about its relationship with the United States of America, which is its major ally, and Europe, and its attitude to what is going on in the UK at the moment over the possibility of a referendum on membership of the European Union, and its profound interest in this Scottish referendum of a few weeks ago.
All of those things are hugely helpful. And just to remind us both that the principal mission we have here at the Asia-Scotland Institute, modelled somewhat on that of Asia Society, which you'll be familiar with, is to educate and inform particularly tomorrow's leaders and provide them with the skills and the knowledge to be able to engage with Asia and the principal economies of Asia in the way that their forebears did. And of course, Scots travelled everywhere. And so advice on how to interact with and deal with Japan, with its own particular culture, would be also interesting, and I'm sure you'll touch on that, because we're fascinated often by the extraordinary stoicism, if that's the right word, with which Japan sometimes confronts major natural and other disasters and seems to have lived through them.
Well, I was ambassador at the time of the terrible earthquake in the Tohoku region 3.5 years ago, and the dreadful tsunami in which so many lives were lost, and the disaster at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor. And we saw then exactly the qualities of stoicism that you refer to, Roddy. An extraordinarily high level of resilience, of patience. Indeed, some Japanese today, younger Japanese, wonder whether this is too high a level of stoicism and resilience, whether there shouldn't be an element in society which is now more actively challenging some of the assumptions which have held sway for previous generations. That's a difficult set of questions to address. It's not difficult to talk about them, it's difficult to find easy solutions to those questions, because as I hope to demonstrate in my talk, Japan is a very complex society, and although it's a very cohesive society, it is more diverse in many ways than people outside Japan realise.
Well, again, we're fascinated to hear what you have to say. Absolutely delighted and privileged that you've taken the time to come and see us and spend a bit of time in Scotland. Appropriately wearing your tie, we note.
Indeed.
And look forward very much indeed to hearing what you have to say.
Well, it's very, very nice to be invited to talk to the Asia-Scotland Institute this evening. I've had close links with Scotland over many years. When I was ambassador, but before I was ambassador, when I was a civil servant in the Foreign Office and UK Trade and Investment. So it's always a pleasure to come back to Scotland.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.